You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. We have a special guest, a regular guest here, regular correspondent.
Sure? Are you sure?
Yes, political pundit, Miss Angela Rye.
There's no N in pundit after it's P-U-N-D-I-T.
That's what I said,
Oh,
pundit.
okay. You got a speech impediment.
I do have a lisp. Pundit. Now, how are you, Miss Angela Rye?
I'm good. How are you?
You got your Tupac shirt on.
Yes.
Why you rocking your Tupac shirt this morning?
Because Congresswoman Waters says on my first episode of my podcast that Tupac is her favorite rapper.
Maxine Waters, Queen Maxine
Yes.
Waters said that Tupac is her favorite rapper.
Yeah.
And How Do You Want It is her favorite
That's
song.
not what she said. You're not going to keep lying
That's
on my
what she
mentor.
said. She
You're not
said,
going to keep lying on
I
my
love
She
the way
said,
you
all eyes
activate
on
your hips
me.
and push your ass out.
Keep going. Keep going. I'm going to throw this shoe at you. Keep going.
You have a podcast now.
Put some respect on her name.
Yes. Angela Rye has a podcast now.
Yeah, I'm excited. And actually, I do want to say, as much as you get on my last damn nerve sometimes, I really am grateful for you pushing me to do this podcast. A lot of people have been receptive to it, have been asking about it, and I'm thankful to my brother for pushing me to do it.
It's called On One. It's out right now.
With Nra.
I'm glad that you did it.
On all the platforms.
You have a lot to say, and you're always talking. Like, no,
Okay. No,
Angela
you should have
Rye-
just been like, thank you, sis. I'm so proud of you. Always got to throw some shade. It's not just on Instagram, y'all. He trolls me in real life.
But it's not shade, though. You always do have a lot to say. Like, you don't turn off. Like, this has been you from day one. The best thing Yes. The best thing I like about the rollout of the podcast is that, you know, Eugene, salute to Eugene, he's been posting all of these clips of you when you was a kid.
Yeah, it's bribe material, actually.
You've been out here. Like, I see you at protest. I see you with Scrunchy singing SWV. I see you giving
the fourth
speeches.
unofficial member of SWV.
I can see that. No,
But
you're too late. You're too late.
That's rude.
You're too late.
So then we are going to get rid of color complexities and ensure that they have a balance. They have a light-skinned member of SWV.
That's the funny part. You would have been the fourth member because if it goes from order of complexion, it's Coco.
They just would have had to turn my mic off.
Then it's Lily, then it would be you.
Lip sync. Yeah.
But you've been like out here. Like, why did you start this activism so early on in your life?
So you act like I had a choice. My dad is a community activist, and I never had a choice. I was getting dragged to protests and boycotts. Yeah, I remember there was one boycott that he did when I was in the fourth grade. Something happened with Nike and Reverend Jackson. I don't remember what it was. But my dad was like, you can't wear no Nike logos. I had the brand new Jordans, and I had to put black duct tape on my Jordans across the back of the shoe on the logo. Yeah, he wasn't playing. So I was like, dang. It was one of those moments where I was just like hot. I was like, why he always protesting something? So I've always been a part of his protest. I couldn't help it. Like, it was just like forcing you to, like, I paid your dues for the NAACP. It was like, it just came with the territory.
Is that how your father and mom met, at a protest?
No. They met at my mom was performing at a club when she was in college, and my dad was like, "Ooh, she hot," and like was all in love with her and told her that his friend wanted her number, and then he called shady. Then you need to step your game up, Dad. That's whack. But anyway, they're all still cool.
But you said you didn't have a choice, but kids always have a choice. It had to be.
What kids you know have choices?
A lot. Like, I mean, kids don't always do what
That's new kids.
But they don't always do what their parents do, though.
No, but I'm saying like my dad posts every year this that picture of me holding the national holiday for Martin Luther King sign. I was like 3 in that picture. Okay. They took me to that. I wasn't like, oh, let's go protest for national holiday for MLK. That was not my choice. That's all I mean.
But it got to be something in you.
Oh yeah, now.
That even back then, though, you was giving speeches. That was a speech
when
in
I was
high
3?
school.
No, that was college. That was black graduation for University of Washington. So I'm saying you grow up in it and then it becomes a part of you.
Gotcha.
But I didn't come out the womb like enough of it with the injustice. Like, it wasn't like that. Like, I wish it was like that. But I say all the time that I was born woke. But I was born woke because it's in my DNA, not because I chose that. You know what I mean?
Oh, that was college. I thought that was high school. I mean, I couldn't tell you because you had like a hard hairstyle, so it was like
it was Shirley
like
Temple
the
curls.
wave.
No, it wasn't no finger waves. It was Shirley Temple curls. I didn't pick them out yet because graduation was the next day. I need the curl pattern to last one more day.
Do you remember that speech now?
Yeah. So in that speech, I talk about my favorite quote is from Winston Churchill. It's the price of greatness is responsibility. And that's what the speech was all about. It's like, if we know that we are to be great, if we know that we are to have a tremendous impact on this world, then we also know that we have a responsibility to do a lot and to pull each other up. I still believe in that. It's a central mantra for me.
And that's why I'm glad you have a podcast now.
Praise God.
Because you have a responsibility to talk to the people.
I do have a responsibility to talk to the people. And again, I thank you for your urging to do the podcast.
I'm good for something. Now,
sometimes.
Now, what's going on in the world of politics? What do we need to know? What does the community need to know?
So one of the things that I actually talk about on the first episode of the podcast is this Election Integrity Commission. Donald Trump recently stood up an Election Integrity Commission to combat voter fraud, which is rich because he argues, and unsuccessfully because it's been debunked over and over again, that there were over 3 million illegal immigrants, as he says, but we call them undocumented people, who voted in an election. False, wrong, that didn't happen. But he stood up this Election Integrity Commission to prove this, right, that this really happened. So they're going around trolling people trying to search for this data that doesn't exist. 1, 2, how is a dude that colluded with Russia doing an Election Integrity Commission? You need to be trying to uncover what happened with Russia.
My thing is, what does it matter? Like, you won already.
Well,
like, that would seem like something Hillary would be doing.
Well, the reason why he's doing it is because he has to reassure himself every day of the fact that he's supposed to be there, which is why he still tweets about Hillary Clinton. He knows that he doesn't deserve to be there. You know what I mean? So he has to constantly validate alternative facts to prove his worth. You know, that's my strong opinion. This Election Integrity Commission asked for people's voter data, you know, how many elections they voted in since 2006, whether or not there's a felony on their record, the last 4 of their social security number. Like, it sounds like a COINTELPRO operation. And it's literally setting the path for a national voter suppression effort. And we've seen it now since 2009, really, when Barack Obama won. White folks everywhere were like, oh, hell no, that can't happen anymore. So they kept pushing out these voter ID bills, trying to shorten early voting days, making it harder to vote absentee, like all of these other things, and trying to force people to get a type of identification, even if they live in rural parts of the country. Well, this Election Integrity Commission, I believe, is a part of setting the stage for that. And what makes it worse, Jeff Sessions did not get that federal judgeship in the 80s because, and for one of the reasons was he was trying to prosecute civil rights heroes, civil rights legends for voter fraud. So they're constantly associated with othering people who have changed the tides on elections, right? So Jeff Sessions has been known to do this, and now they're standing up a commission to do that same kind of work.
How would that affect us in the future?
I think it impacts us big time. 1, here's a lesson learned. People said, you know, they didn't want to vote. Some folks said they sat at home, they didn't want to vote because it was the lesser of two evils thing. There was never a lesser of two evils thing. This Hillary Clinton would not be setting something up to make it harder for you to vote. When you think about John Lewis, and I know people say all the time, like, we shouldn't have to talk about violence and death about our voting rights, but we really do. Like, with one stroke of a pen, our rights could be compromised, and that's what we see with this commission. The lesson learned is we have to go vote. These things can turn overnight. We've literally seen him roll back efforts and make it harder for us in every respect since he's been in office just since January.
Now, you say you don't think Hillary was the lesser of two evils. There's people on YouTube right now saying that is a damn lie, you know, because they talk about the 94 crime bill, saying that she was Clinton's wife at the time, and like they feel like a lot of black and brown people got put in jail because of the Clintons.
Yeah, and a lot of black and brown people helped that effort because black and brown folks were scared just like white folks were scared, right? And I'm not justifying the crime bill at all. I don't support it. I don't support what happened and what's manifested since then at all. But what I am going to say is this. Donald Trump wants to bring back that crime bill right now, and we've talked about it before on The Breakfast Club. The efforts that they put in place already to ensure that private prisons would be populated, to ensure that folks would be prosecuted for low-level drug offenses, undoing everything that Barack Obama would have done. Hillary Clinton's not the lesser of two evils because she would have built upon what Barack Obama was doing. I know people who would have worked with her, you know, people that would have had offices in the White House and actually would have been advisors to her who are black, not sitting outside of the White House like Omarosa. Seriously, she doesn't sit in the White House. It's in the executive office.
Omarosa going to swing on you one day.
I wish she would. Anyway, the point is that you know, we actually would have people influencing policy, influencing administration regulations that protect our interests, not hurt our interests.
What about the people, the lies people say Hillary tells about, like Benghazi and all of that stuff like that?
Are you serious right now?
I'm just asking, because I know people always would say the lesser of two evils, and those are the things they would bring up.
I want people to tell me what even happened in Benghazi. Like, I think that the folks don't even really understand. It was overly politicized. I definitely think the administration was off on its messaging. They weren't sure what happened. And should they have stepped out there before they knew? No. But it's totally different from somebody who is constantly misspelling in tweets, damn near starting wars on Twitter. You know, this is a completely different ball game, and he's not ready for prime time.
I love what you said about him having to wake up every day and having to justify why he's in that position, because he is such a narcissistic person, and he does have an ego. He knows he didn't earn that. If the Russians helped him and stuff, so that has to really bother him.
There's literally email traffic with Donald Trump Jr. and this guy. He's not even like no sophisticated. He's like a manager for some talent in Russia. The talent is somebody that Donald Trump worked with on pageants in the past. So the layers of people who were connected to Vladimir Putin and Russian authorities to influence this election is astonishing. Michael Flynn was not that long ago. Yeah. Paul Manafort, his campaign chairman, not that long ago. Donald Trump Jr. in meetings. Jared Kushner in meetings. These folks were all the way in bed with Russia.
So Donald Trump Jr., the emails plotting against Hillary Clinton, that's really a thing? I haven't really been following that.
Yeah, so Donald Trump Jr. was connected to Rob Gladstone, I believe is his name. In these emails, Rob Gladstone is saying, I have somebody that wants to meet with you basically to give you the dirt on Hillary Clinton. Is that abnormal in an election? No. Are there folks who work diligently on opposition research to take down their opponent? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. What's different is you normally don't work with a foreign government to do that, right? So this guy is very clearly setting this up like, I'm happy to do this. Donald Trump Jr. says to him verbatim, I love that, especially if it's later in the summer. The same day Donald Trump Jr. sends this email out, Donald Trump Sr. is on the stage at a press conference saying that there's information coming out about Hillary Clinton and he wants them to hack into her other 33,000.
That's dumb.
But I'm saying like the timeline, like people are like, so old boy from, never mind. But my point is, you can't consistently look at this stuff and say, oh, they just made a mistake, or oh, he didn't know, or oh, he was trying. One of the guys, what's the dude's name from InfoWars? Alex Jones says, oh, well, Donald Trump Jr. was just being a good American. He was trying to find out who the Russian spies were. Boy, good night. Well, that's not what was happening.
That's what a lot of good Americans are trying to do now. Find out who the Russian spies are.
Sound like they in the White House.
Yeah.
There's a problem. And so it's clear that Russia has compromising information on this president, whether we're talking about the dossiers from before, whether or not folks say all of that is legitimate or not. He is compromised, They call in Russia, it's called kompromat.
Kompromat.
Yeah.
That sounds like something sexual.
Oh, my God.
No, it does. Like, it sounds like something you get at a Russian bathhouse. A kompromat. Now, we have Angela Rye here.
I can't stand you most days.
Angela Rye here. She's got a new podcast called On One that launched on Wednesday. On One with A. Rye. You want to take some phone calls?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, who this?
Who this is?
It's Charlemagne. Who you call?
Charlemagne.
What's up, brother? You got a question for Angela Rye?
Yeah, I was calling, man. I was saying all that stuff. I was wanting a further explanation about the Eric Trump situation, really.
Explanation about the what?
The Eric Trump Jr. situation.
Oh, Eric Trump Jr.
Yeah, it's Donald Trump Jr., but I appreciate the question.
No,
it's all right. That's all right. They're all the same, right? They all real different and crazy right now.
Yeah, they all,
so,
good old boy.
Yeah, white privilege is real. They are walking examples of that. So we're going to get into that a lot later, but here's the basic version I'll give you. I will liken this situation to, I don't know if you've ever had a friend or family member go to jail, but this is the situation where someone asks if you did something wrong and you say, no, I can prove it. And then your proof is everything that you did wrong, every potential violation, and he put all of that on Twitter. There was a journalist who joked yesterday and said, this is a story that I've been following for months and I couldn't get a lead. Every lead I had was a dead lead. Every road I went down was a dead road. And the dude tweeted out all of what would be evidence if you were on criminal trial.
Do you think he does that because he simply isn't aware of politics, so he doesn't know he's actually doing something illegal?
So,
of course,
what they used to tell you in law school is ignorance of the law is no defense. Mm-hmm. And that is the case here. It doesn't matter whether he knew it was wrong or not. He very well could have not only broken election laws, like federal election laws, he also may have compromised some real, put us in a real compromising situation from a national security standpoint.
Okay.
So.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, what's your name, bro?
My name's Frank.
Frank, you got a question for Angela Rye?
Yeah, so basically, Donald Jr. has been in the news because of his emails got released, and he had a meeting with a Russian advisor that had dirt on Hillary Clinton. So basically, he went to the meeting thinking he was going to get some dirt, but nothing happened because she didn't have any dirt.
Why are you telling Angela Rye this like she doesn't know it?
Question. He said so. His
All right,
question
my bad. I just don't know if anybody. But yeah. So the thing is, should he still be charged for collusion? Because my example was that if you go to a girl's house to smash, but it turns out y'all just played 2K, you still went over to smash, you still get in trouble if your girl find out, right?
So here's the thing. I appreciate your analogy. What I'll tell you is this: in many instances in the law, intent is a factor. So here, if he intended to get something, and even if the person led him astray, which I still don't think that's the case, I don't trust the Russian lawyer or Donald Trump. I'm not even sure that we've seen all the emails that he opted to release himself without being coerced, although you can kind of argue coercion because apparently there was a New York Times story that was getting ready to come out publishing these emails. Uh-huh. So he said it was in the spirit of transparency, but maybe not so much. The reality of it is he intended to get this information from a foreign adversary. Before FBI Director Comey resigned or was fired, he said that Russia is an adversary. This is not a friend. This is not, them interfering with the election in this regard. Trying to push out information from the Russian authorities is problematic, and it's also criminal.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right. So and also Angela Rye. So if he was dating a guy and he went over to a girl house to play 2K, he'd be in trouble? Just because I went to go play some 2K, some video games?
That's not what he said. He said he went over there to smash.
But you don't know that, though. If you catch him over there and he's like, we just playing video games.
Well, that's not what these emails say. We need to read
so if you saw correspondence of your man talking to the girl
where
saying...
he intended to go smash.
He'd be in trouble for that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just
obviously.
Asking. I don't want to fight. You got another call?
That's ridiculous.
Yo. Hello?
Yes, how you doing, man?
What's happening? What's your name, sir?
Hey, my name is Tay.
Tay, you got a question for Angela Rye?
Yes, I was asking Angela, like, how do you decide who to put your energy toward?
Like,
when it comes to
energy.
Yeah, your energy.
Oh, energy.
Yeah, energy. Like, towards when it comes to arguing with certain people, or
you talk about when you see Angela Rye arguing on CNN when she be going at them white people?
Oh my God.
Yeah, like who?
Yeah.
Who do you decide to chill on and just go it for? Let's hold nothing back.
That's a good question.
So that is a good question. I appreciate it. And for the record, I don't just go in on white people. I'm an equal opportunity go-atter. So what I'll tell you is I think it really just depends on the circumstances. But for the most part, I am set off by someone who I know is lying. I think that telling the truth on using a platform to tell the truth is really important. I take it very seriously. So when I see somebody blatantly lying, that's normally what sets me off. I really work very hard to give people correct information. And so even when I mess up, I will correct it on social media if I figure out later if somebody says, hey, you said this statistic wrong or whatever. Those things are very, very important to me. So that's normally what sets me off and how I decide to go at somebody.
When the last time you've been wrong, Angela, right?
This morning.
About what?
Well, I was correcting a friend. I didn't listen all the way to a friend who was talking about people frustrating their spaces, and so I just corrected that. There was a good Oprah quote on Instagram.
Oh, about energy.
Yeah.
Oh, got you. Mm-hmm. You got another call? Uh-huh. Hello.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to be shady about when I've been wrong because I'm right 95% of the time, by the way. In case y'all missed that shade, that's what that was.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Emmanuel. I'm from Seattle. Shout out to Seattle.
Hey, 206.
Yeah, you dig.
Why are you so excited?
Because I'm from Seattle.
I know.
Yeah, we from Seattle. We from Seattle, man.
Don't do it. They ain't here talking about there's black people in Seattle.
Russell,
obviously.
Yeah, there's black not the only black person in Seattle.
What if he was like, I'm not black?
What's your name, bro?
Manuel.
Manuel, you got a question for your 206 sister, Angela Rye?
Yeah, I got two questions. By no means, I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but there hasn't been no actual evidence of him colluding with Russia since the allegations of last year. And is it like, what's wrong with us being cool with Russia?
Okay, well,
it seems like there's an agenda out there.
Oh Lord. So
206 represent.
I deserve that. In this moment, I deserve that. So I would actually argue with you that if there was a smoking gun, the ish is on fire at this point. Under no circumstances, if this president were Barack Obama and all of these chips were stacked up like they were, would folks be saying there's no evidence of Russian collusion? There actually is a lot of evidence that points towards Russian collusion. There are investigations that have to take place to uncover the rest of the evidence. But Donald Trump Jr., I don't know if you haven't been following this online, but he basically tweeted out Russian collusion right there. So it's talking to Russian authorities about potentially damning evidence about Hillary Clinton to influence the election. The contact, Rob Gladstone, says they have information because they want to see Donald Trump win the presidency. That's collusion. I don't know how you define it. How do you define collusion?
I mean,
yeah, okay. So then the other thing that you should know. Hold on. The other thing, because I'm not going to even let you take up all that time. I suggest you look that up again. And then the other thing that I would tell you is, as it relates to Russia, there's been history that says that Russia has been an adversary, right? There were sanctions issued right after the election. Barack Obama, who Donald Trump said was colluding with the Russian government, and of course that's not true, shut down a space where they had spies, a spy operation in Maryland as punishment for their involvement with the election. They interfered in 39 states' election systems trying to alter voter data, and all of that was to help Donald Trump.
Isn't that illegal though?
Yes, it's illegal.
Yeah, why can't Russia be punished?
Because they don't abide by our laws. Like it's through a diplomatic, diplomacy is what governs how countries interact with one another. And they violated like just common decency practices, right? So there are a number of other issues that, we won't go into from like foreign affairs, national security, all of that, all the reasons why Russia is an adversary. But Russia is not our friend.
I can't tell.
Oh, you can't?
I mean, Putin and Trump look mighty chummy.
But is Trump your friend?
No.
Okay, so then Russia's not our friend.
Got you. All right, thank you for calling from the 206, sir.
Next time, ask a better question, damn it.
That was a good question. The worst question is the question that you don't ask.
That's so cute, but he asked some crazy stuff. That was crazy.
He didn't know.
He said, what?
But you educated him.
He said that he's been watching this and he don't see no Russian collusion.
Well, you educated him. I don't want to fight.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, you got a new podcast that launched on Wednesday.
Yes.
What took you so long to get that platform going?
I wanted to do it right.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that I was giving people material they could use in their everyday lives, in their conversations with friends and family. I wanted to make sure that we were able to give practical advice to engage in resistance. I wanted to make sure we could have fun. I wanted to do it right. It took a long time to find a name. But I think the name is appropriate. I feel like I'm always on one. I'm on one mad, on one happy, on one excited, on one passionate. So
how do you avoid the angry black woman stereotype?
I don't think I avoid it at all. I think that people constantly put me in that bucket, and I think it's unfortunate because every time, if I'm angry, that does not make me an angry black woman. It means that I'm expressing an emotion that I feel at that time.
But I don't have a problem with that because I feel like you have things to be angry about.
But I'm not walking around here mad as hell all the time.
Nah, you're not. Absolutely not.
But sometimes. But I get it out and I move on. So
your first guest is Queen Maxine
yes.
Waters. You used to intern for her.
Yes.
Was that a hard get?
Yeah, I think, yes and no.
Damn, she played you, son?
No. You know what? When you said hard get, I thought you were talking about the internship. You were talking about getting her on the podcast?
Yeah, getting her on the podcast.
No, not at all. Like
Don't act like it was easy.
I'm not saying it was easy,
okay.
But, thankfully we've maintained a great relationship, and it was something she wanted to do. So it was awesome. I got to interview her at an event she was doing for the California African American Museum. She was doing a big event that night, and I got to sit down with her right before that. So.
Did she know what a podcast was?
Yes.
I love the way that this new social media era and all of these different platforms are giving these people like Maxine Waters a resurgence.
Yeah.
Is she taking full advantage of that?
I think she is. Mm-hmm. And the most amazing thing is her tweets are like go viral dang near every day. She's saying something good every day about impeachment, about staying focused on, what really matters. She had a great statement in response to Donald Trump Jr.'s emails the other day. Like she's on it. And
does she control her own social media?
Yeah, she approves everything before it goes up. She's very serious about making sure that things are in her voice. Mm-hmm. Those are her words. She's great. And the thing that's also awesome is she loves the connection to the millennials. I asked her on the podcast if she prefers Queen Maxine or Auntie Maxine. And she's just like, you call me whatever you're comfortable calling me. And so she's really embraced the auntie label too. And I love that because she's like, she's always been familiar. There are people in her congressional district who don't call her Congresswoman. They call her Maxine, and she answers to all of it.
She's too much of an OG to be an auntie, though.
That's what I said.
Like, I'm an uncle, you an auntie.
No, I'm not. I reject that. No. I am young enough to be cousin. I'm going to keep cousin. I ain't going to be auntie. These people too old. It be 50-year-old people talking about auntie. I'd be like, I wish you would. Like, listen, you might come from a blended family, but I'm not in it. I'm not your auntie, honey.
What's something from the podcast this week that people will gravitate towards that Maxine said you think?
Besides the Tupac comment, besides her saying that Tupac's her favorite
I would have
rapper?
hoped that I hate blogs that do that. They pick stuff like that. It's like, oh, look how cool Maxine is. No, but I'm just talking about the blogs that may listen.
But here's why I was pumped about it. She didn't miss a beat. I was like, okay, because we spent this segment talking about gangster rap. And to her, I would actually love to see you guys have this conversation. To her, she said that she
I can't wait to meet Queen Maxine.
She said, well, we got to make sure we make that happen. She says that she felt like they were trying to censor young people's stories. She was like, they just were trying to, talk about their lives, how they grew up, their experiences. And
really?
She was like, yeah. She was like, I don't think that you should censor people's stories. So I was like, on that, who's your favorite rapper? And she was like, Tupac. I was like, all eyes on me. She was like, all eyes on me.
She just saw the movie.
No, she didn't. She might have seen the movie, but that really was her favorite rapper. And she could tell you why. She says why in the podcast.
Do you, I wonder how she feels about like the use of the word bitch, like the derogatory, language towards women and like even the N-word, because she's older, so I know she don't like the N-word.
I think that those are good questions for you to ask her. We actually didn't talk about that on the podcast, but she's big on freedom of expression. And she doesn't think that we should, especially it's older folks, she don't think that older folks should prescribe how other people tell their stories or communicate or express themselves. And I think that's dope.
Have you seen the All Eyes on Me movie yet?
Honestly?
I would hope you're honest.
I haven't seen it yet.
Me neither.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad. I haven't seen it yet. And I felt bad because I really wanted to see it. And just scheduling-wise, opening weekend, I couldn't get to it. Mm-hmm. And so then I'm like, dang, it defeats the purpose now. But it kind of doesn't. I'm going to get to see it.
You didn't go at Essence Fest? You couldn't carve out time?
When?
I don't know.
Essence Fest was crazy.
That seemed like a nice...
You want to see my schedule from Essence Fest?
But that seemed like a nice black field trip. A bunch of people from Essence Fest just go on over to the movie theater.
Have you been to Essence Fest?
They didn't have a screen.
Have you been to Essence Fest?
I went when it was
Have you been to Essence Fest?
Houston.
When was that?
Well, the year was Katrina.
After Katrina.
Yep.
So I don't know what you was doing if you just went for fun, but if you go to work, you don't have time to do that?
I'm surprised they didn't have no screenings for it at Essence Fest.
Yeah, I don't know about no screenings for that. Anyway, are you really down this road for this on 5 minutes? Really?
No, I'm just asking. Anything else we need to know in politics?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the most important thing right now is to pay attention to what's going on with our overall democracy. We spent a lot of time right after the election talking about figuring out how to redo or restructure the Electoral College so that it actually represents one person, one vote. I think right now people are seeing why. Whether we're talking about Russiagate or we're talking about the many policies that the Trump administration is putting forth that are harmful to marginalized communities and communities of color, we see exactly why our votes and our voices matter. I think the other thing folks need to pay attention to is the healthcare bill. It is still in shambles. The Republicans are talking about pushing recess back to the third week in August. There's so many people who work in D.C. who are pissed off about that. Because
why they get a summer break or something?
Yeah, normally you have the entire month of August off, and the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is saying they're going to be in until the third week in August to make sure they get that health care.
How does the government get off?
What do you mean?
You said they get the whole month of August off.
Yeah, it's not the full government. It's just Congress.
Oh, okay.
And what they call them is it's not off. It's district work period where they go into their districts. They're having town hall meetings about legislation they've passed and talking about the impacts on the communities there. But yeah, I think he's doing that because he knows that he's not going to get to 50 votes, at least 50 votes, 51 votes preferably, so that Mike Pence wouldn't have to break the tie as the president of the Senate. That's what he would do. That's the role of the vice president. And the issue is they can't get to the vote amount. They're like 8 votes shy of the number they need because the policy's bad. Gotcha. And they should just acknowledge at some point, like, actually, now that we're trying to do this ourselves, Obamacare wasn't that bad. We should probably just amend Obamacare. It does need some changes. But them going back to, say that people, if you have pre-existing conditions, you can't have coverage, or trying to cut Medicaid and putting that responsibility on states from a funding standpoint, outrageous.
That's what I thought they was going to do anyway. I thought they were just going to take Obamacare and just stamp some other name on it and just change a couple of things.
They might end up doing it.
I just feel like they didn't want to give Barack Obama, a black man, the credit of the healthcare.
Absolutely. And we've seen that again throughout Trump's administration so far. He's trying to undo everything. In fact, the other thing that's crazy, I don't know if you saw this report, Donald Trump's White House, the pay in his White House, women make 63 cents to every dollar that men make. And so even from that standpoint, Barack Obama's first legislative accomplishment, the first bill he signed into law was the Lilly Ledbetter Act, which it's supposed to end wage discrimination and wage disparities. Donald Trump got wage disparities 63 cents to the dollar in his own White House. That's just in the White House.
That's crazy.
It's insane. For what?
I wanted to ask you about the NRA ad.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the NRA ad that sounds like The Purge.
Yeah.
Why isn't that being made more of a big deal?
I think it's been people have made a huge deal about it, but
not like they make it with Blac Chyna and Rob.
That's true, but I think that's a question for the culture. Why does that attract more of our attention? And I think that some of us have being woke fatigue. You have so much stuff going on, and there's so many fights happening on so many fronts. You don't know where to focus your energy. And I think it's up to those of us who have platforms, regardless of the size, to say, hey, this is where we're focusing our efforts on these 3 things this week, and making sure that people know. We should definitely encourage people to watch that ad because it gets to the intent of where folks are. It demonstrates, I think, very clearly what white fear looks like during the election and why Donald Trump won. And if people watch it, they'll understand exactly the mentality behind that us versus them mentality. They claim later with the NRA that the ad was targeting the violent left. But if you listen to the words they say, it's very clearly about others, whether they're Muslims or whether they're black or brown or immigrants or gay. It's about others, and them taking their country back is a false idea because it was never their country to begin with.
So how do you combat that if you know that they're ready for violence? Because that's what it sounded like to me.
It sounded like a race war ad.
It sounded like a race war ad. It sounded like The Purge. It sounded like get your guns and get ready to take out the violent left or people that are just others. How do we combat that?
I love what Tameka and Linda and Carmen are doing, who you had on the show yesterday, to talk about marching on the NRA, to talk about marching on the Department of Justice, or we call it the Department of Injustice, to say enough is enough. You're not going to threaten our lives, whether it's implicitly or explicitly. We are going to call you out for what it is. I think also it's time for the NRA to be held to account on their own hypocrisy, their own challenges relating even to Philando Castile. This man was licensed to carry. We ain't heard anything from them on why he got shot. And so it's very clear that.
Well, they did say it was a terrible act, and it should.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they said it was a terrible act.
But what else did they do?
That's all. They said it was a terrible act, and it never should have happened.
That's not enough. And when you think about how far they went on this race war ad, that's definitely not enough. And Philando Castile was not represented in their us in that ad.
The cop who killed Philando Castile got $48,500.
A payout.
What do you think about a bounty on black bodies? Because that's what it seems like.
That's definitely what it seems like. I think that he shouldn't have been paid. He should have been forced to pay restitution to their family. I think that if he is a good-hearted person, if he has a soul at all, he'll donate that money to their family, to Philando Castile's family.
Somebody called up here this morning and said that we need to organize more and we need to come together to stop stuff like that from happening. And I'm like, people are already organizing. People are already coming together. But the powers that be don't care.
Yeah. And I think that we have to start understanding that until we stop asking and we start making demands on what we deserve, on what justice we're seeking, it's never going to change.
So we need to make our own NRA ad. That's what we need to do.
I don't know that we need to make our own NRA ad because I don't think that hate begets anything but hate. But I do think that we need to focus on internal facing strategy. What is our agenda? How do we push that agenda? And how do we protect ourselves in the face of folks who aren't going to ever protect us?
Okay. In closing, I want to say I saw you, was it Essence or The Root?
Where?
Well, you said it's not enough to stay woke anymore.
Oh, yeah, Essence.
You have to work woke. It was Essence. Yeah. Salute to everybody at Essence. Could you explain a little bit for our audience?
Yeah, I think that we are focusing a lot of energy on staying red and being conscious. And that's a great thing. It's an amazing thing. I love that people are wanting to pay more attention, not just to political processes, but to, social justice activism and paying attention to, violence, excessive force and violence in police departments and on black and brown bodies. But if you don't ever apply what you're learning, practically, if there's no practical application for all that you're learning, then it's lost. Like the Bible talks about, faith without works is dead. And so if you never apply what you're learning to real work, then it's fruitless, it's pointless. So I think that it's now incumbent upon all of us to begin to work in alignment with what is in our conscience. We know the right thing to do. We know how to help move people. You don't have to have 1 million followers on Twitter. You can work within your selective spaces and say, this is what I'm going to do. Who's with me? And I think that we learned a lot from, again, Tameka, Carmen, and Linda.
Absolutely.
In those spaces. And Janae, shout out to Janae for the work she did logistically on the Women's March. But we can all do that same work. And that's what they're imploring all of us to do. They're going to get tired, too. They need help. They need folks like you and others to lift their arms up and support them when they get tired.
Yeah, we're not supporting them like I told you that this morning. We're not supporting them like we should. I don't feel like the culture is supporting Carmen, Tameka, and Linda the way we should, because those young women are really risking their lives every day. Like, they're mothers. Like, they have other lives. They don't have to do what they're doing.
And so we should start telling people that some of the things they can do to be supportive, like, maybe you can't go march because your work hours don't allow you to, but can you donate money? You talked about donating money to their causes. Can you make sure that you're sharing the work they're doing on social media? When you see a troll getting at Linda and it's violent, like, can you respond?
Absolutely.
Can you report it to Twitter? I'm not asking you to, go be violent too, but there are other things that we can do proactively to support them. And I think while you're saying that, you should make sure you give prescriptions for how to be more supportive.
Absolutely. Her name is Angela Rye. She has a new podcast out right now called On One with Angela Rye. It's on iTunes. It's on SoundCloud. It better be on Spotify and Tidal. If not, she's going to have a fit.
Yeah, I will have a fit. It should be up by now.
You hear that, Chris Moreau?
And Google Play.
And Google Play. So go subscribe.
Did you say subscribe?
Yes, SUBSKRIBE. Subscribe.
Okay, that ain't what you said the first time, but that's good. Subscribe.
Subscribe. So what I say?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. SUBSKRIVE.
No, B.
Subscribe.
B.
Subscribe. Go subscribe to her podcast.
If you subscribe, you're not going to get anywhere. But if you subscribe, you.
It's called On One with Angela Rye, okay? Thank you for coming, AR-15.
Thank you. Don't say AR-15. That's violent. We just talked about the NRA.
You're right. Thank you. Thank you for coming, Miss Angela Rye.
Thank you.